Generative AI, generative AI, generative AI. बस बहुत हो गया. In this video, we're going to building and projects based on generative artificial intelligence. In the screen, you can see here one UI, which one is called the job scraping and the analyzer with interview preparation questions using Gen-AI. And you can see here one input text box, and as well as you can see here one upload file button. So here we can uploading here our portfolio, as well as we can paste here our job post. Well, so right now we are in the Google career pages. So I'm going to select this job post and try to copy the link. You can see the Google career pages. You can select any kind of job or any kind of job portal. You can choose from here. It can be Amazon, it can be Nike, or it can be Flipkart, whatever else. I'm going to paste here the job post that I copied. And then I'm going to uploading here the portfolio. Let's click on here and upload the portfolio. Click on open. And then I'm going to click here the analyze job posting. So it will give me two things. One is called the skill match with the job, and as well as some interview questions based on this job. So it will take few seconds, just mean 10 to 20 seconds it will take, because it will extracting the data using this large language model. And then we got this score that's called skill match and the interview questions. And you can see generative AI 80%, large language model 90%, machine learning 95%, and having some interview question. What are the key applications of generative AI in real world scenario? So this is the application that you're going to build it using large language model called Llama. And this is also a requested video from my YouTube comment box that I actually got. If you have any idea about any project, you can comment below in the YouTube comment box, and I try to making these projects on this series. So without wasting your time, let's start the tutorial right now. Let's have a look at our plan of attack first. So first, what I can do is simply going to extract the data from the career pages. It can be the Google, it can be the Amazon, or it can be the Nike. And then we're simply going to pass in this data inside our large language model. Then the large language model is extracting some data based on the role, skill, and the description, and try to convert it into JSON format. And those data should be passed inside our vector stores as well as our portfolio. We're going to using the ChromaDB for the vector store database. You can use any kind of them. And the vector store database is passing this data inside our large language model. And then our large language model is match the skill based on the portfolio as well as the job, and try to give you some interview questions. That's it. Now what I can do is simply going to jump our tutorial right now. But before that, subscribe our YouTube channel, because it's really take so amount of time to making these tutorial. This is the Grok Cloud, and using Grok Cloud, you can access the large language model from here. And this is the interface. If I go inside its documentations, and you can see it having a tab called the models. And inside this model section, you can see here that several models are available, just like Llama 3.3 70B versatile that are going to be using it here. And this developer is nothing but called the Meta, that's in Facebook. Now let's go on the playground and try to give one message. Let's say, what is the main story of Bhagavad Gita? And let's try to click on submit. And now internally it actually using the Llama 3. Now you can see here the Bhagavad Gita is a Hindu scripture that is part of the Indian epic, the Mahabharata. Okay, so let's try to give here another question. Let's say, who is Mahadeva? Let's say Mahadeva. Okay, and let's try to click on submit. And then you can see here in Hindu mythology, Mahadeva is reverted title given to Lord Shiva, one of the three primary deities in Hinduism, along with Brahma and the Vishnu. Cool. So we're going to using this one, and also you can see here it having a section that's called the API key, and you can just go on here, create the API key, and to giving one name, and after that you can get one API key. So I'm already creating this one, so I am going to using this API key to actually calling our Llama model on here, because it's really easy to use the Llama model, and it's really very fast. Because you can see in my playground, it will give me the fast response. If I paste here the same code, same prompt again, and you can see how fast or how quickly it will give me the response. That's why I'm going to using the Grok Cloud. And also, in order to building our large language model applications, our generative AI application, you're going to using here the LangChain. Okay, that's the library that you're going to be using it here. And from the LangChain, we are going to using here the Chat Grok. Using Chat Grok, we can actually access the Grok Cloud API. And inside this component section, you can see it having chat model, it having the retrievers, it having tools, it having the document loader as well. You're going to also using this document loader as well, because you need to stack the data from the career pages, and this is nothing but when web. So that's why you're going to using here this document loader as well. And you can see here the vector stores. You can also using here the LangChain vector store as well. But for this case, you're going to using here the ChromaDB. And why you're going to be using the ChromaDB? And I will tell you in the videos, right? And after that, having some embedding model, if you are using the open AI or any kind of model, the sky hugging face or the llama 3, you can using their embedding model as well. So now what I can do, I am simply going to go on the Google Colab and try to exploring it more, exploring the LangChain, exploring the Grok Cloud API, how can you call it out, and also exploring that Chrome IDE and try to creating one applications using the Generative interface because you're going to using here the Google Colab, right? So without wasting your time, Har Har Mahadev, बोल के start करते हैं. Let's install some required library like LangChain Core, LangChain Grok, as well as the LangChain community. So I'm going to install it by pip. Let's say pip install LangChain underscore core, LangChain underscore Grok, because we're going to using the Grok API key, and as well as the LangChain community, and shift enter, and it will installing those library in our system, right? I mean in our Google Colab. And make sure that you need to go to the runtime, and your runtime type should be in the form of GPU. Okay, so click on save, and now you can see here is called requirement already satisfied. Okay, now what I can do, I am simply going to calling the API for the Grok Cloud that I copied earlier. So I'm going to import it, let's say from LangChain underscore Grok. I'm going to importing here the chat grok that we see already, that how can actually use the chat grok from the LangChain grok. And after that, I'm simply going to create an instance of the chat grok. So let's say chat, okay, let's say chat grok. And inside that, I need to passing here my temperature as well as the API key and the model name. So I'm going to give it here, let's say temperature. So temperature, and I'm going to give it here 0. Then I'm going to use it here the grok API key. Let's say grok underscore API dot key, and then I'm going to give it here the API key that I copied. Okay, don't use it. I'll remove this one from my workspaces. So now what I can do, I am simply going to adding the model name. So let's say model name is equal to llama 3.370 billion versatile. Okay, so llama 3.3, then the hyphen sign, let's say 17 billion, let's say versatile. Okay, versatile. Okay, that you see in the models in the documentation sections. So I'm going to store it into a variable called LLM, because this is my large language model, and using this one we're going to creating here our interview preparations with questions, generative AI projects, as well as the job scraper and the analyzers. So I'm going to using here this invoke method to actually do some questions to our chat grok, I mean our grok cloud. So I'm going to using here invoke, and inside that I'm going to give it here a questions. Let's say what is, let's say Ganesha, and then I'm going to store it inside a variable called response. Let's say response. Okay, fine. Now I am simply going to printing the response. Okay, let's say response response dot content. Okay, so that's nothing but a response. So I'm going to use the shift enter, and then I got some responses, hope so. So you can see here Ganesha, also known as Ganpati, is one of the most revered and beloved deities in Hinduism. Okay, and he is nothing but the remover of obstacle, the patron of knowledge and the wisdom. Okay, so you can see his ability to remove the obstacle and the challenges, his wisdom and knowledge, his growth, pursuit, and the prosperity. Ganpati Bappa Moria. Okay, fine. So we able to starting the data from the Grok Cloud API using this API key. Okay, cool. Now what I can do is simply going to starting our job post from the career pages. So you can start the pages, start the job from the Google's or Amazon's or Nike, any kind of job post that you can just start on here. So what I can do first, I'm going to importing here the document loader, because in the LangChain there have been a component called the document loader, and if you go inside this document loader, then you can see you can load the document from the web. It can be unstructured data, it can be the recursive URL or the sitemap or the FireQL. So you can using here this web one, because you're going to start in the data from the Google Career web page. So what I can do, I need to go on here, and let's say if from LangChain dot underscore, sorry, not dot, actually community dot document loader. So document loader, I'm going to importing here the web based loader, because I'm going to using here this web based loader as well. And you already installed this LangChain community, right? So now inside this web based loader, I need to giving here the job post in the form of link. So I'm going to go on the Google career page and try to get on job and try to copy the link from here. Well, so right now I'm in the Google Career pages, so I'm going to copy one link from here. This is a job post. You can go on learn more on here. So let's go on here and try to paste it here. Okay, but before that, it's also creating here this web-based loader. So I'm going to make it, let's say, web-based loader, and inside that I'm going to give it here the link that I copied, right? And now from this job link, I am simply going to starting my content. Okay, so that's my loader, I mean my job loader. And now using this loader, what I can do, I am simply extracting the data from this loader. So I'm going to using here loader dot load, and I'm going to popping something from here, and after that I'm simply going to start in the page content. And then this is nothing but my page data. Okay, let's say there's my page data. Okay, and after that I am simply going to printing it here. Okay, let's say I to print the page underscore data. And then you can see just white, you can see here it will give some warning, and you can see here it is starting the post from this link. Okay, you can see 8-year experience in software development with data structure and algorithms, 8 years of experience in coding with one or more programming language, just like C++, Python. Okay, so this is nothing but my job post. So now what I can do, we simply going to using here this LangChain core to creating here our prompt template, so that you can start in the role, experiences, skill, and the description from here. So for that, what I can do is simply going to import it first. So let's say import from LangChain underscore code. Okay, underscore code dot prompts. Prompts I'm going to import. Okay, not prompt, but actually prompts. I'm going to import in here the prompt template. Okay, let's say prompt template. Or it should be the prompt template. And after that, I need to giving here one template of the prompt, which one having the roles, the experiences, skill, and the description. So I am going to creating here, let's say prompt, prompt template dot from template. Okay, from underscore templates. Okay, template, and I'm going to give some template on here. Okay, I'm going to copy here some template code. I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Well, so I'm going to paste it here. This is nothing but for one templates, script text from website. We have the page data and some instructions. The script text is from the career pages of the website. Your job is to start the job posting and return in them in JSON format, and containing the following keys, just like the role, experiences, skill, and the descriptions, and only return the valid JSONs, and valid JSON no printable. That's mean no text in the before, just only we need the JSONs. Okay, so this is nothing but my templates. Now I'm going to start it, I mean store it inside a variable. Let's say prompt, prompt, then let's say start. Having some problems just because of cold weather. हाथ नहीं चल रहा है भाई. Okay, then I'm going to apply here the LLMs. I'm going to creating the chains of the LLMs, because we have the LLMs our, that's our large language model, and using that I am simply going to actually creating here our LLMs, I mean create the chains of the LLMs. And after that I'm simply going to store it inside then variable called the chain start. So let's say chain start. Okay, now this is nothing but our prompt extract, I mean our variable, this one. And inside that we're simply going to creating one chain for the LLMs. Okay, and now from this LLM I am simply going to invoke our page data. So what I can do, I am simply going to using this chain extract, and I'm going to give it here the input. So my input is nothing but my page data is in the form of dictionary. So let's say page underscore data, and I'm going to store it inside a variable called page data. Okay, fine. Now this is nothing but a response. So let's say this is nothing but res, and I'm simply going to printing the content from here. So let's say to print here the res dot content. Well, now you can see runnable sequence object is not callable, having some problem on that. Okay, I need to using this invoke. Okay, now we can starting this data in the form of JSONs. Okay, so this is our data. And then you can see it having several types of data, just like it having several types of data in a list. So the first one you can consider in this one, this you can see here the role is nothing but the machine learning engineer, the large language model, the personal AI. Then experience is this one, 80 experience in the software development. Then skill is nothing but generative AI, the large language model, the machine learning, and the software development. Okay, you can choose any one of them from here. It having some multiple job and multiple role on this link that you copied. Okay, so you can copy it as well as a single job posting from here. Okay, So now I am simply going to actually discussing about one more thing that's called the JSON output parser, because we have this JSON input, okay, in kind of list. Now we need to also parsing the JSON from here. So how can you do that? You can using here this LangChain code. So let's say from LangChain underscore core dot output. Okay, let's go output parser. I'm going to importing here the JSON parser. Let's say JSON to JSON out parser. Okay, now what I can do is simply going to actually creating here one instance of the JSON output parser, not out parser actually. So I'm going to copy it from here, and I'm simply going to create a parser that's called the JSON parser. Let's say JSON, and we have the parser. Okay, and now what I can do, I am simply going to parse this one. So I'm going to using copy this one, just parser dot parse, and I am simply going to passing here my response dot content that we are, it's coming from here. Okay, and this is nothing but a JSON response. So let's say JSON response, and I am simply going to printing this one. Okay, it's not son JSON, and I am simply going to printing it here. Let's say print the JSON response, and then you can see we have the response call in the form of JSON. Okay, you can say test role, or simply going to start it and parsing this JSON from this content. Okay, now you can see here is several kind of role we have. We can several types of data in a single list. Okay, now let's try to copy another job. Oh, not from here. Okay, I'm going to go on back, and let's try to copy this one. Let's say copy the link, and let's go on here, and I am simply going to paste here the link on here. So let's paste it on here. Let's try to close it out, and I'm going to paste here the link on here. So here we go, and I'm going to paste it here. Then let's try to running this out, and now we have the paste content. Now let's see the our uh, paste data. Now we have several types of job as well. So let's try to start one job from the Amazons. Okay, let's go on the Google again. Well, so right now in the Amazon job post. So why I'm actually copying this one, that you can understand why. So I'm going to selecting here the first job that's called machine learning engineer. uh yeah, so I can copy this link. So I need to back from here, and I need to copy this link from here, and after that go on this Google Colab, and I am simply going to go on the full screen mode, and I'm trying to paste it here. Okay, let's try to paste it here and see that I got here just one single role for that. Okay, now you can see you just got one single role or not. Yeah, you can see just got one single role. But in the case of Google, we got some multiple types of role. I mean, multiple types of dictionary we have. Now you can see if you had just one dictionary, so how can you handle them? See, it's nothing but in a dictionary format. But when we do this thing for the Google, we have one list. We have one list. So I am going to make it again. I mean, undo it and try to run it again. Then you can see here, this is nothing but one kind of list, not an JSON format. Yeah, it's JSON format, but it is inside and list, because it having several types of data inside and list. That's mean our data can be a list, our data can be a dictionary, our data can be a dictionary. Okay, so what I can do, I am simply going to taking the Amazon one. Okay, Amazon one that I copied earlier, and then I am going to actually delete this one. Okay, now we have the single one, and we have the skills, we have the role, and we have the description, and you can see machine learning engine, just one role. Okay, now we have our JSON response. Now what I can do, we simply going to importing here our portfolio. Okay, based on the portfolio, we simply going to matching this on which portfolio is matching to our jobs, as well as which kind of interview question can be asked to the interviewer. So for this case, we're going to import in here one portfolio. So that's my portfolio. I'm going to upload it. It's just nothing but having some kind of technology that I expert on. Okay, and I'm going to importing here the pandas as PD. Let's import pandas as PD, and then I am simply going to copy the path. It's uploading here. Okay, so let's say df equal to pd dot read underscore csv, read underscore csv, because this is nothing but a csv file, and inside that I'm giving here the path of this portfolio, and I'm going to reading this out, and I'm simply to print it out. Let's say df. It's nothing but just one single column. It having the technology which one I expert on. It's a Python, Django, MySQL, machine learning, Python TensorFlow, large language model, Python PyTorch, deep learning kernels, like, just like that. I mean the experience about me. Okay. Now what we can do now, we see in the plan of attack that we simply going to passing this data to our one LLMs, and we see that we passing the data to the LLMs. Now this LLM should be passing to one prompt template. Inside a prompt template, which one extracting the role, the experiences, skill, and the descriptions. Now is our time to store our data, I mean portfolio, inside one vector database, or you can say vector store. So in this case, we're going to using here the Chroma DB. Okay. So why Chroma DB? Let's say try to install the Chroma DB first. Let's install Chroma DB, and I'll give you some examples about the Chroma DB as well. That how the Chroma DB work and why should we choose the Chroma DB as the vector database. Now let's try to import first Chroma DB. Let's import Chroma. It is installing. It's taking time. Okay, let's import it. Let's say Chroma DB. Then after installing the Chroma DB, you can easily access this one. And now we're simply going to creating here one collection of the Chroma DB. But before that, we're also creating the client. Chroma DB is nothing but one kind of databases for in the terms of the vector databases. So I am simply going to creating here one client of that. Let's say Chroma DB dot client. And then inside this Chroma DB, because this is one kind of NoSQL data, so you can store the data in the form of collections. So what I can do, I am going to store it inside a variable called client. And after that, I'm going to creating the collections inside our client. So let's say client dot create collections. Let's say create collection, because we're going to creating here just one single collections. Now let's give the name. Let's say name equal to, let's say interview collection. Okay, let's say interview like that. We're simply going to creating one collection on that. Now let us store it inside the variable called collections. Okay. Now we have our collections that's called the interview. Name is interview. Now I am simply going to add some data inside our collections. Okay. So what I can do, I am simply going to add it. Let's say collections dot add, and inside that I am simply going to first add some document. I am going to first add some document. So let's say documents. Let's say I'm going to add two documents. Let's say okay, not embedding actually. Add some document. Let's say this document. Okay, document is about Kedarnath. Let's say Kedarnath. Let's say this document is about Maharashtra. Rashtra, like that. Now I am simply going to add some IDs on there. Let's say IDs. Then I simply make it, let's say ID number 1, and then I have the ID number 2. ID number 2. Then you can realize why we are going to be using the Chroma DB on here. See, we're just simply going to add some collections in our collections that we created. That's called the interview. And inside that, we're simply going to adding two document. Let's call first document is called, this document is about the Kedarnath. This document is about the Maharashtra, and we just add here two IDs. Now let's running this one, and then let's try to getting the data from the collections. Let's say collections dot get, and then this is nothing but my all of the document. Let's say all documents. Now you can see our all documents should be loaded. Now you can simply going to printing it on here. So this is how our collection look like. It having one ID one, and based on this ID, it having some documents. You can also add the embedding on here. And the first document is refers to this ID number 1. That's called, this document is about the Kedarnath. And this second document is referred to the ID number 2. It's called, this document is about the Maharashtra. Now I am simply going to I'm going to simply extracting the data of the ID 1. So how can I do that? I can using here, let's say collections dot get. This is the tutorial about the Chroma DB, that how actually Chroma DB work. And then I'm going to starting here the ID number 1. So this is nothing but my document. Let's say documents. Okay. And I'm simply going to printing these documents on here after the next line. And then you can see that's our document for the ID number 1. It's automatically actually creating the mapping for the ID number 1, for the document number 1, without any index number. Okay, see, this is the use of the Chroma DB. And one more thing, let's say I'm going to search some query inside my document. So how can I do that? Let's say collections dot query. Let's say I'm going to give it a query text. Let's say query text. Let's say I'm going to giving some query. Let's say query is about, let's say, Ganpati. Just to wait. Okay, query is about the Ganpati, and I'm going to give it the number of results. So let's say number of result is nothing but the 2, because we have the 2 document. Okay, now let's start printing this one, but before then it also store it inside a variable called results. One more important, just notice this thing. Say Ganpati, this text is the Ganpati is not inside our document, but how I actually apply here this query is about the Ganpati. Well, so it's loaded. So now I'm going to printing here the results. So let's copy this out and I'm going to paste it here. Let's call the results. And you can see here this document is about the Maharashtra, because a Ganpati is now the part of the Maharashtra, Pune, Maharashtra. Now you can see the document is about the Maharashtra. But how it will start in the data? Because we just give it here the Maharashtra and the Kedarnath, but we don't give it to the Ganpati. And you can see here this distance is quite similar, because this is the part of the temples as well and the Hindu gods. So 1.18 is nothing but the distance of that. That's why Ganpati is dedicated to the Maharashtra. And let's say if we give it here, let's say Shiva. Okay, let's say Shiva, and try to running this out and try to see this out. And you can see it's this document is about the Kedarnath. That's mean you don't give it to the Shiba here, but it will by default it will getting here this one. And you can see it's nothing but having 0.1.08 distance. This is high. This is why actually we're going to using the ChromaDB, because we don't just give it your own template. Just called Kedarnath and Maharashtra, but it will automatically give me about the just query about the Shiba. It will automatically stack the data for the Kedarnath. Let's say I am going to give it to the Varanasi. Let's say Varanasi, and let's start checking this out. And now you can see this document is about the Kedarnath, right? Now what I can do, we simply going to using here the metadata as well. So you can also adding here the metadata. You can adding here the metadata. So how can you do that? You can just copy this out, and then you can add it to the metadata on here. Okay, so you can adding the metadata. Let's say metadatas. Okay, datas. Okay, you can add the metadata, and then you need to add this metadata inside the from of the dictionary. Let's say URL, and inside there let's adding here the URL for the Kedarnath temple. Let's go on the Kedarnath temple. Let's say Kedarnath official website, and let's say go on here and try to copy this link. And I'm going to let's see, still on robot. And I'm going to pasting here the link for the Kedarnath temple. Okay, if you need to give it here the URL, just go to adding here the metadata, you can add it here. Okay, then after that what I can do, I am simply adding here the URL for the Ganpati. Let's try to add it here the URL. Okay, we don't need the URL, but I'm just going to, for the assumption, I'm going to give it here. Let's say Ganpati official website Pune. So let's open the Dangdu shed. Okay, Dangdu shed Ganpati, very famous in Pune. Ganpati Bappa Moria. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to go on here and I'm going to pasting here this one. And here you go. Then we have the URL, this concept. Now we're simply going to running this out. And after that, you can see ChromaDB segment is creating and creating the embedding for the ID number 1, ID number 2. Now we can start in the data based on this one. We can copy this one. Let's say I'm going to paste it here. Let's say this query is about the, let's say, Ganpati Visarjan. Let's say Ganpati Visarjan. Visarjan. Okay, is it okay? Okay, Visarjan. Okay, Visarjan. Let's say. I'm not sure that is giving the output or not. So let's try to running this out. And we don't get the metadata yet because it's not added on here. I hope so. Because this collection is already created, right? So you need to, when you actually running this out, you need to add in this metadata automatically when actually creating this one. So if I going to run it again, then see that I don't think that it's coming up on here. But data is coming. You can see this document is about the Maharashtra, but metadata is not coming. I don't know why. Okay, but when you're adding this one, it will obviously it will coming this one. Okay, it is coming this metadata. Now what I can do, I am simply going to creating here the documents about this result, because this metadata is not needed at all. Okay, but how are you creating this one for the first time? Because see, you're going to creating here the client, you're going to creating it for the client. You can see for the client, it's nothing but creating this data in our local memory. But how are you creating this for the once time, you can actually replace this one. Okay, that's no problem on here. So but this is a good choice to using the chroma db on here. Okay, I don't know why metadata is not coming up, but the result is actually good. You can see this query is about the Ganpati Visarjan. It's nothing but about the Maharashtra. Okay, so that's really good. Now what I can do, we simply going to adding to our data, because we don't need the URL as well. But how you need the URLs, it also you add here the metadata as well in your document sections. Now what I can do, I'm simply going to import first UID. Let's importing here UID, and then I'm going to importing here the chroma db as well. So let's say import the chroma db, let's say chroma db. Then I'm going to create the client. Let's say client is equal to chroma db dot persistent client. Okay, see, persistent client. Now the question is sir, why the persistent client? Okay, आजा भाई क्यों नहीं आ रहे? परसेंटेज क्लाइंट, इसको क्लिक करना पड़ेगा क्या? क्लिक करना पड़ेगा. Okay, why percentage clients? See, if I am trying to run in this shell again, let's try to run in this shell again, and you can see here it gave me some kind of error, that's collection interviews already exist. That's mean you can creating the collections, and it will store this client in your local memory, but here it will store this, I mean store this in a disk, sorry, in a disk. But how are you creating here the persistence client is just creating here in your memory, in your local memory. Okay, just like that, which one you are working on. Let's try to give it here, let's say interview number one. Now you can simply go to creating here this collections. Now you can see, you can simply go to creating the collections as well. Now you can adding here these topics as well, I hope so. I can uh, cutting or copy, let's copy this out, and I'm going to paste it here. Let's try to paste it here and try to add it here. Now in our collections we have our metadata as well, hope so. Okay, you can see metadata is right now added, because you're creating the new collections. Now let's try to running all the shells. Now you can see here ID number one is coming up here. This data is about the Varanasi. Then you can see the Kedarnath temple with having the metadata, you can see here. Now we don't need to actually adding these things. Okay, now you can see that how can you actually exactly starting all of the data from here. Okay, from the collections query, you can see here this is give me the link of the metadata as well. You can metadata Dangru Shed Ganpati, you can go on here. Now what I can do, the percentage client is nothing but creating this data in the disk. Okay, I think power issue. Okay, I'll back again when the power issue is gone. Well, so now what I can do is simply going to creating here the collections. So let's say collections is equal to, let's collections is equal to, let's say client that is created, client dot get or, okay, get or create collection. Okay, create underscore collection, and inside there we'll be passing here the name. So let's say collection name, let's say we're going to give it here, let's say portfolio, let's say underscore data, like that. Now inside this collection, so what I can do is simply going to put our df that we actually started from here, I mean called from here, let's call it portfolio.csv. So we're going to storing this portfolio.csv inside our chroma db, and after that we're simply going to cross check with our LLMs model and try to give the recommendation about the interview preparation questions, right? So for that, what I can do first, I need to checking that if the collection is not none or not. Let's say collections dot count. If the collection dot count is none, that means it don't have any data inside our collections right now. It's totally empty. And now after that, is simply going to give all of the values which one is which one is available in our data frame. So we can using a df.iteros iteros. So it will giving here two value. One is nothing but the number itself, I mean row itself, and the number. So let's say row. Okay, so this iter row actually giving me two things, I and the row, number of rows. Then after that, we're simply going to add it to our collections. Let's say collections dot, okay, it should be collection or collections. Let's see this out. These are collections, right? So let's say collections, and then inside this collections, we're simply going to add our data. So let's add, and then simply going to adding here the document is nothing but coming from the row. Okay, and this the row name is nothing but called the technology, right? So you can copy this out from here, technology, and after that I'm going to pass it here. Okay, so that's our technology, and after that I'm going to giving here on IDs. So let's say IDs is equal to, you're going to using here this UUID for unique ID generations. So we can use it here. Let's say string. We can pass it to the list string of UUID dot UUID 4. Okay, we can using this one. This is nothing but a method on here. Now our data is go inside our collections. Now we can shift enter and speaking about the document, it should be documents, right? Documents. Okay, now it will create it. Now you can see it created the document inside our collections, right? So you can also get the collection data from here. Otherwise, you can also do a query on that we do earlier on here. Okay, so what you can do, you can simply go into, let's say, collections dot, you can using here the query, and inside that, let's say I'm going to using here on query text. So uh, let's say I'm going to using here, let's say, experience in Python. Let's say experience in Python. Okay, so it should be not Python, it should be Python. Okay, and then inside that I need to giving here number of result. Okay, number of result equal to nothing but 2, and then inside that is simply going to using here the get the document. Let's say get we're going to getting that document first. So let's say that's our documents. Okay, documents, and then we can using here the knowledge string otherwise. So this is nothing but my text query, and this is nothing but tag that I'm expert on. So let's say tag is equal to this one. Now it will load it. Okay, collection is not defined, it should be the collections, right? Mistake to ho jate aise. So let's start checking the tag, which tag is coming up here, and you can see machine learning, Python, TensorFlow, AI, Python, and scikit-learn is matching with this one. Experience in Python. Let's say experience in React. Okay, let's say experience in React like this. In another list, let's say just React. Okay, then you can see which tag is coming up here. You can see machine learning, Python, TensorFlow, AI, Python, scikit-learn, web development, React, Node.js. Okay, you can see Node.js, React Native, and the Node.js and the MongoDB. Which one is related to the React.js? Cool. Now what I can do is simply going to first checking this one. Let's say if the type. First, I'm going to checking here because from our JSON response, we need to start in the data, right? So JSON response. So this JSON response can be an list. Sorry, it can be a list or it can be an dictionary. It can be a list or it can be a dictionary. That I actually already told you that. If I go up, you can see here, this is nothing but one dictionary. Okay, if I using this data from the amateurs. Now let's say I'm going to collect the data from the Googles. So it will give me one kind of list. It will give me one kind of list. If I go on here, just to avoid on the career page. Okay, Kedarnath Danglushit. Yeah, let's try to copy this one. I'm going to copy the link, and if I go on here and try to paste it here, let's say I'm going to paste it here, then you can see one more thing. This is nothing but one list of the data. Okay, now just to avoid, you need to give it here. Then after that, you can see we have several types of role with several types of skill and several types of job in the form of list. That's mean our data can be an list, our data can be an dictionary. So if it is a list, we can access the first element or we can access the second element. It's up to you. Now let's say I have just one single list or just single one dictionary. So what I can do, we can using the another technique. We need to check in the type of the JSON. If the type is nothing but a JSON, we're simply going to extract it from the data. Simple using without any using the index number, right? And if I using this one, that's Amazon job, because it don't have any list, it's just having one single data inside that, just having one single data in from the dictionary. That's we need to check one thing, that if the data is coming, it's nothing but a JSON, we can simply go to extract it without using the index number, right? So we can use it like that. Let's say if the JSON response, let's say JSON response, okay, the type of the JSON response, sorry, type of the JSON response is nothing but the dictionary. Okay, it's nothing but the dictionary, right? So then we can simply go into start it in a variable called, let's say, job equal to JSON response, okay, dot get, and from this get we are simply going to taking the skills. We are taking the skills because based on that we're simply going to cross check with our experiences that we have in our portfolio.csv, and the skill is coming from our career pages. Otherwise, let's print here the list. Okay, the else that's mean it is nothing but one list. So how can it start it? We can start it with the first element. So let's say JSON response. Okay, the first element of the list, then it's taking the get, and inside this get we have the skill as well. We have the skills. So let's get skills, and then simple. Now we have our job. We have our job. So let's see if I try repeating the job. Then you can see here that's nothing but our job. That's nothing but our list of skills: machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, large language model, generative AI, AWS service such as SageMaker. वीडियो चाहिए क्या? EMR, S3, DynamoDB, सॉरी EC2 वीडियो चाहिए क्या इसमें? इसके बाद प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज सी प्लस प्लस में DS है, हो सकते हैं लेके आऊंगा, कोई बात नहीं. डेटा प्रोसेसिंग ऑलरेडी तो कर चुका हूं मैं. Okay, now what I can do is simply going to do the prompt templating. We simply going to do the prompt templating. So what I can do for that, we need to using here the prompt template. Okay, because we already import it. I hope so. I already import it or not. I hope so I import it because you're already creating here one prompt on that. So if I go up, then we can see that, yeah, we already importing in the prompt template. Now we need to use the same template for the job descriptions to starting the interview question for that. So what I can do, I am going to first using this prompt template. That's a prompt template dot from templates. And now inside that, what I can do, I am simply going to give it here one prompt. So let's assign it to variable called, let's say prompt, let's say start. Okay, let's say skill. Okay, skills and questions. That's skill and question, because based on the skill, we're simply going to actually checking the score that how many percentage of the skill is matching with this profile, right? That actually uploaded on here. So I'm going to add in here one prompt. Well, so I'm going to paste here the prompt that I actually already copied. Okay, so you can see this nothing but one simple prompt. It's having the job descriptions. You can see I just added to the curly brackets and having some instructions that you are Mishudha Chandu, the CEO of Knowledge Dr. YouTube channel. Okay, and your job is to analyze the given job description to identify the required technical skill and match them with the provided skill set to calculate a percentage match. Yeah. Then after that, generate a list of relevant interview questions based on the job descriptions. Return the information in the JSON format with the following keys. Okay. Then after that, you have this skills math. This is nothing but inside and JSON. Then after that, you have the interview questions. Let's try to run it out. And now after that, what I can do, we simply going to create the chain for that. So let's try to create the chains using our LLMs. So copy this out, and after that, I'm going to using here this, let's say LLM. Okay, let's say LLM. I'm just creating here on chain of the LLM. So that is nothing but my chain of the skill. Let's say chain skills, skills. Okay, skills and questions. In my area, electricity is having too much problem. I need to record this one for the second time, and so much problem on here. Okay, okay. And then after that, what I can do, we're simply going to copy this one, this chain skill and the questions. And then using this one, we're simply going to invoke here. Let's invoke. We're going to invoking here our job description, right? So that we do earlier in the LLMs as well. So this is our job description that we pass it to here. Let's say job description. I'm going to copy it from here. And after that, I'm going to pass it here. It's job description. And this is nothing but my job. Okay, that's my job. That we have this one is extracted from the JSON response. Okay, now this is nothing but my response. So let's try to store it into response, and then we can printing the content of the response. Let's print response dot content. Well, ajao beta. Yeah, you can see here machine learning match 100%, 100%, 100%, 100, 100, 100 सब कुछ मैच हो गया भाई यहाँ पर. देखो, so यहाँ पर क्या वो इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चन आ गया यहाँ पर. How do you approach a machine learning problem, and what are the key consideration for selecting the right algorithm? कैसे कर सकते हैं right algorithm, कैसे approach क्या है? Can you explain the difference between deep learning and the traditional machine learning? बहुत बहुत तगड़ा क्वेश्चन है भाई. And provide an example of how you would use each. कब आपको यूज करना पड़ेगा इसको? डीप लर्निंग कब? डीप लर्निंग तब यूज करेंगे जब आपके पास बहुत सारा डेटा होगा, इमेज डेटा होगा, तब यूज करेंगे डीप लर्निंग. ट्रेडिशनल मशीन लर्निंग क्या है, आपके पास कम डेटा है तब आप ट्रेडिशनल मशीन लर्निंग यूज कर सकते हो. हाउ डू यू हैंडल द ओवरफिटिंग इन ए नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग मॉडल? कैसे कर सकते हो भाई? एंड व्हाट टेक्निक डू यू यूज टू improve the generalizations? कैसे? कमेंट करके बताओ. What are some of the challenges of working with large language model, and how do you address them in your design and implementation? कैसे? Can you describe a project you worked on that involved with generative AI? ये तो कर रहे हैं ना हम. And why? What are some of the key takeaway from the experiences? बताओ. How do you optimize the performance of the AWS SageMaker model? कैसे कर सकते हो? आपको तो पता होना चाहिए ना. क्योंकि आप तो काम करते हो मशीन लर्निंग पे. Can you walk me through your process of data preprocessing and the feature engineering in machine learning pipeline? कैसे कर सकते हैं फीचर इंजीनियरिंग, डेटा प्रोसेसिंग कैसे कर सकते हो, कैसे फीचर सिलेक्शन कर सकते हो, हम क्या कैसे कर सकते हैं, हम बताना तो पड़ेगा ना. हाउ डू यू इवेलुएट द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ नेशनल लैंग्वेज मशीन प्रोसेसिंग मॉडल एंड व्हाट मेट्रिक्स डू यू यूज टू मेजर द सक्सेस. Can you explain the trade-offs between using a managed service like AWS EMR versus a self-managed cluster for data preprocessing and how you would choose each? The last one, how do you stay current with the latest development in the machine learning and the deep learning? And what resources do you really rely on for ongoing education and the professional development? बहुत तगड़ा तगड़ा इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चन दिया भाई. हाँ, मैं भी इंटरव्यू लेता तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन मैंने पूछता. अच्छा अच्छा क्वेश्चन किया. तो you can actually using this model to actually just for ensure that your skills match and you can apply for the job. Okay, this is how the application actually look like and how it actually work. Now what I can do is simply going to using the Gradio library in order to actually making this in the form of UI, right, or interface. So let's say pip install Gradio. So let's say Gradio, and then install the Gradio library on here. Now after that, what I can do is simply going to importing here the Gradio library and all of the module that is required. So let's say import Gradio as Gia, and after that, I'm going to importing here LangChain. So let's say LangChain underscore community dot document loader. Yeah, I already import it, but let's study import it again. Let's import here this web based loader. Let's say web based loader. अच्छा भाई क्या हो गया तुमको? And then from LangChain underscore core dot output parser, right? Output parser. I'm going to importing here the JSON output parser, and then from LangChain underscore core dot prompt prompt, and I'm going to importing here the prompt template. Let's say import the prompt template. Let's say prompt template. किधर पे गया prompt template? इधर पा गया. I'm going to importing here the pandas as pd. Then I'm going to importing here the uuid. Then I'm going to importing here this chroma db. Okay. Now we simply going to creating here one functions, define a functions, which can help us to process our job posting, which are taking the URL and the path of our CSV file. So let's say def of pre-process job, okay, posting, let's say posting, and which one taking one URL and the portfolio CSV, so portfolio underscore CSV. Now first thing we need to using the loader. So let's say loader equal to web-based loader. Let's say web-based loader. Oh, loader हो जा. इसका बाद क्या करेंगे? इसका बाद URL pass कर देंगे. Now using this loader, we're simply going to take in the content. Let's say loader dot load, and we're simply going to pop it out. And then inside that, you're taking the page content. Let's say page underscore content, and that is nothing but our page data. Let's say page underscore data. Data. Now from this data, we need to extracting our prompt. So what I can do, we can copy this out. We can go up. इधर पे चला गया भाई, इधर पे, or we can copy this whole thing from here. Okay, and we can paste it to here. Just nothing but a copy paste because we already know the main things on here. So we can paste it on here, and after that we need to do some changing on here. So let's making it, let's say ref, just changing the name of the variable. Let's say ref1, and let's try to, we don't need to print it out here because we're simply going to passing through our JSON response. So after starting this one, we don't need to pass it here. We can simply going to pass it in the JSON parser. Okay, we don't need to write do now, just JSON response JSON parser. Let's create the parser, and then we are going to creating here JSON output parser, and inside that we're simply going to parse our res.config. Okay, our res.contact. So this is nothing but okay, we need to pass it to here. Yeah, this one we need to pass it to our JSON response, right? So what I can do is simply going to pass it this skills, because this is our chain struct, right? Chain struct. And now we have our response, and we can simply going to pass in this response to our uh, JSON parser, right? Yes, JSON parser. So we can, let's say, we're simply going to create the JSON parser. Oh, थोड़ा problem हो गया JSON. Okay, JSON output parser. And now we simply going to using this JSON parser to extract the data from here. Let's say parse, and then it says that you can pass in here res underscore one dot content. Okay, you can keep it to the res one or whatever you can. It's up to you. And now we have a passing here our response. Now we can simply go into load our data set. That's a df dot pd dot read underscore df equal to, sorry, df equal to pd dot read underscore csv, and inside that you can passing here our portfolio. So this our portfolio csv is coming on here, so you can simply going to pass it to here. Okay, and after that what I can do is simply going to create in the client of the ChromaDB. Let's say chroma, okay, let's say ChromaDB or ChromaDB. Okay, let's say the ChromaDB. Okay, ChromaDB dot persist client. Let's say persist client. Okay, persist client, and inside that you're giving here one client name. Let's give it to the vector store. So let's give it to here. Let's say vector store, and inside that is simply going to create the collections for the vector store. Let's say create the collections. Let's say collections is equal to client. Okay, client dot get or create collections, and inside that you can giving one name. Let's say portfolio, let's say app, like that. So that's our collections. Now we can do the same process that we do on here in our ChromaDB section. It's almost same because we're just adding to one by one, and we can copy this out. We can copy this out, and after that we can simply go into paste it on here. कुछ नहीं, just paste and copy and paste it. Okay, then we have this one, and to do some indentation error, into solving this one, collections, and add the document and the df.ititles, and we have this one. Now after that what I can do is simply going to collect it based on the job description. So let's say job description is equal to, let's say, job, sorry, JSON response, because we have the JSON response. So that's a JSON response dot get skills. So we're going to using here the shortcut technique for the if and else that we created for the dictionary, and then we simply typing here, let's see if the type of the JSON response is equal to dictionary. We simply going to returning this one. Otherwise we simply going to return the JSON response of the first index dot get of the skill. Okay, let's skills, and then we're going to using here the empty list. Okay, and that's our job description. Now we can using here the prompt template that we copied earlier. So you can copy this one, we can copy this one, and after that you can simply go and to paste it on here. So let's paste it on here. So that's our prompt template. Now after that we simply going to copy the same thing, I mean this one, and then we simply going to paste it to here. Okay, we simply going to paste it to here. Here you go, and that's our chain skill. It is inside this one or this one. Yeah, this one. Now let's make it to the let's say response number one. Then let's try to pass it to our applications, right? So now this response is ready. Now we can pass it to our final result. Let's say final result, final underscore result is equal to JSON parser. Okay, dot parse. You're going to using here the response number one dot content, and then we finally returning here the result. Let's say return the final result. Okay. Here we go. Descriptions, collections. It's descriptions. Okay, the prompt is struct is nothing but structing here this one because it's not needed at all. This person is not needed, it's just parsing here the role and the experiences on here, skills on here. And may we edit down chromatic percentage, and we're simply going to add to document row. We collect these collections and we add the documents from the rows, and we're checking this one response uh, by adding this JSON person this response on here. And if I go on here, just to write one thing, mm, yeah, we add it down here, this page data, just to checking this one that how can it start in for the page data using our skills and the parsing this thing. And after that we pass it to our data, right? JSON response, this JSON response we pass it to our ChromaDB, right? Because it's needed to pass into our ChromaDB as well. And yeah, we also pass it to down in the ChromaDB using this collections, right? Because we're taking the response from the job, right? Because if I see down, we also take it down from the job. Yeah, this job. Yeah, now we have this job. uh, we have this job, and we, okay, it should be job descriptions, not job only. It should be the job description because this is now, okay, this should be the job, not job descriptions. Now inside that it will returning है the final result. ऐसा कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है क्योंकि जॉब हमने यहाँ से स्टार्ट किया ना, स्टार्ट किए स्किल के बराबर है, वहाँ से स्टार्ट किया, दिस डेटा से हम स्टार्ट किया ना. ओके, बस खत्म. नाउ व्हाट आई कैन डू इज सिंपली क्रिएटिंग द इंटरफेस फॉर दैट. Okay, let's say graph gradio, let's say interface, let's say interface. And now inside that we're going to passing here the URL and the port folio underscore CSV. And now inside that you can using the try catch block, let's say try equal to result equal to process job posting. And inside that you're passing here the URL and the portfolio CSV. Okay, portfolio underscore CSV. Now after that, if you got any error, you can do accept, let's accept. And then you can using the exception fe, then we're simply going to return it by error. Let's say return it in the form of JSON. That's an error. Okay, then after that, we're simply going to return it in the form of string. Now we need to creating the block for our Gary applications. Let's say try to creating the block. Let's say inside that with there dot blocks, and inside that we're going to using here one theme. It is available inside the Gradio documentations. You can go on here and searching for the theme. Then you can get this theme name that's called the Raspier underscore she key at the rate of 1.2.1. It's available inside the Gradio documentation. Let's as app. And then after that, it is simply going to creating here one markdown. That's a markdown. Okay, it should be capital, right? Markdown, M should be capital. Okay, MARKDOW, markdown. And inside that, you can give it here one name. That's a job. Okay, you need to give it to our this one. That's a job. Okay, posting and analyzer with interview. It's interview preparation. Let's say preparation questions. Let's say questions using Gen-AI. Let's say using Gen-AI. Okay, this is nothing but the markdown. And now with that, let's say with gr.row, we're simply going to add here our URL input. Let's say URL input, and we're taking it using the text box. Let's say gr.text box, and inside that you can giving here the label called website URL. Let's say website URL, and then we can giving here one placeholder. Okay, the placeholder, and we can add the placeholder call. Let's say enter the URL. Let's enter the URL of the job posting. Let's say job posting. Okay, then after that what I can do is simply going to use the portfolio input. That's nothing but our CSV file. So we're simply going to using here gr.file. Okay, gr.file, and inside that you can using here the label equal to, let's say, file upload. Let's say file upload. Okay, let's upload file portfolio.csv. Let's upload portfolio csv. Okay, now after that we're simply going to creating here a button called analyze button is equal to, let's say, gr.button, and inside that you can give it here, let's say, analyze job posting, and inside that you can creating here one output box. Let's say output underscore box equal to gr.json, and inside that you can passing here the label is equal to nothing but called result. Let's say result, 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 and then after that we're simply going to creating here the button. Let's say analyze the underscore button dot click, and when I click we're simply going to calling our Gradio underscore interface. Okay, that's our interface, nothing but this interface, Gradio interface. And after that in our inputs we're simply going to passing here the URL inputs. Okay, URL input, and then the portfolio CSV. Okay, I mean this one, portfolio CSV. And after that what I can do is simply going to adding here the outputs. So let's say outputs is nothing but in the output box. That's output box. Okay, okay, and after that is simply going to using here the app.launch. Okay, let's say it's nothing but inside our block, so it should be app dot, okay, not sap, app.launch, launch, launch. Okay, and now let's try to running this out and see that we got any error or not, whatever else. Yeah, it's loading right now, I hope so. Okay, it's not launching the applications, but why? It's processed inside here, and we need to also launch it, right? Anything error? Interface is created inside our process. This app, this what do you call this? This is here, and this, okay, it's nothing but outside the uh, variable here. That's why this problem. Okay, try and exit block. Let's try to make it okay, and this is outside block gr.markdown, and this one is here, and here I go, and here I go. ऐसे प्रॉब्लम हो सकते हैं भाई। और रो के अंदर है क्या? रो के अंदर तो नहीं है ना, रो के अंदर है। Then after the gr.row, then we simply going to launch our application. That's in app.launch that we created. Okay, I hope so. Okay, any problem on here? Okay, portfolio.csv is not defined. Portfolio under csv is not defined. Okay, it should be the portfolio input. Okay, it should be portfolio input. Now let's try to run it again, and now let's go on here, and then after that what I can do, it will loading the applications. Sri Kedarnath Ganpati. Let's try to copy one job posting from here, copy the link, and it's running. Now you can see it's running, and it is loading the applications. Okay, ओके, इधर पे थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो चुका है यहाँ पर। ओके, कोई बात नहीं, लेट चेक करते हैं इसको। पोस्ट एरिया अपलोड पोर्टफोलियो, पोर्टफोलियो अपलोड कर दिया, एंड इट्स अपलोडिंग द फाइल। लेट्स क्लिक ऑन एनालाइज जॉब पोस्टिंग। एनालाइज हो रहा है। ओके, जस्ट वेट फॉर फ्यू सेकंड्स। Don't get any result on that. Let's try to checking this one, what kind of error we got, why this one happening. Okay, I think so. The problem is happening just because of this gr.row, because it's outside the row, and we need to make it to the outside of the row. ऐसा तो प्रॉब्लम हो चुका है यहाँ पर, क्योंकि हम कोड कर रहे हैं गूगल कोलैब में, इसलिए यहाँ पर थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम ऐसे हो सकता है, क्योंकि इंडेंटेशन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम वगैरह ऐसे हो जाता है। Okay, so now it's look code. Yeah, looks code right now. We can now click on here, And now let's try to copy the job link. Let's try to copy the first one. इसमें जाते हैं, थोड़ा टाइम लगा क्योंकि जेन आई एक्चुअली एप्लीकेशन है ना, तो पोस्ट कर दिया मैंने इधर पे, तो जाके सिलेक्ट करना पड़ेगा पोर्टफोलियो डॉट सी एस बी. नाउ लेट्स क्लिक ऑन एनालाइज जॉब पोस्टिंग एंड लेट्स सी व्हाट काइंड ऑफ आउटपुट वी गॉट एक्चुअली ऑन हियर. बहुत टाइम ले रहे हैं भाई, आजा आजा बच्चा आजा. To analyze the skill, result is nothing but empty. But why? Let's check the code right again, and after that I'll back. Well, the problem is happening because of just we calculate the result, but we not response it. I mean, not return this one. So I need to return it here. So return the result, and as well as we parsing the file. I mean, JSON response, but we're not returning to it here. Yeah, it will not give you the error because in the previous shell we already creating the same variable name. So that's why we need to pass it to here as well. Now use the shift enter. Now it will loading these applications. Now we can click on here, and now this application is live. You can also use it in your mobile phone as well. Now yeah, it's loading right now. You can see you need to give it to the URL. So let's go on here and try to creating actually copy one URL. Let's try to copy this URL. Yeah, this one I'm going to copy this one. Okay, we can select and you can copy, and you can paste it on here, and after that you need to selecting here this one, and then we are going to click on analyze the job posting. And now it will taking time, just not take time, just 7 or 5 seconds. You can see here now it's coming up here. So skill math, machine learning 100, deep learning 100, natural language processing 100, all of them is 100, and it having some questions on that. Let's start selecting here the another job. Let's start selecting some job from this Amazon website. So let's selecting here, let's say select this one. You can select any kind of job for any kind of job posting actually portal in the any kind of career pages. So let's paste it here, that we copy it, and I'm going to click here to analyze the job posting. Now let's see what kind of response we got. So programming with at least one software programming language is nothing but the 100%, and the machine learning expertise with prior work on key ML framework just like the MXNet, the PyTorch, TensorFlow, etc. is 100, and distributed learning 100. So it having some interview questions. Let's say, can you explain the basic of programming and how you have applied them in your previous projects? How do you approach a machine learning problem, and what frameworks have you used in the past? TensorFlow, PyTorch. Okay. What is your experience with distributed learning training, sorry, and how do you optimize it for the large scale model? How do you stay up to date with the latest development in the machine learning? And can you give an example of recent project that you have worked on? So you can prepare your interview questions, just actually applying here the skills matching or not. So let's try to starting another job from here. Let's try to copy this one. Let's call generative AI, and I'm going to copy this link from here, and I'm going to paste it here. Let's paste it here, and I'm going to click on analyze job posting. You don't need to upload it here because it's already uploaded this portfolio.csv file. Yeah, you can see here programming language 100%, and the interface optimization is 100%. And it's having some questions. What programming language are you most proficient in? Sorry, and how have you applied them in machine learning projects? Can you explain the concept of interface optimization in machine learning, and how do you stay updated with the emerging technique? Okay, it having some interview questions. You can prepare yourself for this kind of job. So you can also use here another kind of job. Let's try to check for the last one. So what I can do, we can let's say selecting some job from Google. Let's say Google. Let's say Google Career AML. Let's try to go on here and try to search on job from Google as well. So what you can do, you can machine learning cloud protection analysis. It's a Gemini. Okay, I'm going to go on here and copy the link and try to check on the Google it is extracted or not. And let's click on analyze the job posting and see that what kind of result we got on here. Obviously got the good result. इधर क्यों टाइम क्यों लग रहा है भाई? या आ रहा है, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं. NLP LLMs 80%, ML model 90, data 70, quality metrics 60, quality iteration 50, RL modeling, reinforcement learning modeling 40, large scale distributed model training 80, MLOps 85, ML infrastructure 75. How do you approve NLP tasks and what are some of the most effective technique you have used? Just like what to back, bag of word, count vectorizers. Can you explain in difference between the various ML model and how do you choose the right one for the given problems? So if I have the supervised machine learning problem, I can using here the linear regression, the logistic regressions, or the classification model. Okay. If it is a clustering type of problem, just like the customer segmentation, we can using the clustering technique. How do you ensure the data quality and what step do you take to handle the missing or the noisy data? How can you handle the missing or noisy data? You can first checking that using this df.hisnull, and after that you checking that is there a null value or not. If it is a high, if you have high null value, you can drop the columns. Otherwise, you can replace with the mean or mode. Okay. What quality metrics do you use to evaluate the performance of your model, and how do you iterate to improve them? Yes, you can use in the accuracy metrics, you can use the F1 metrics, you can using here the recall or ROC score. Okay. Or you can also calculate the RMSE. Okay. Root mean square error. Can you describe your experience with RL modeling and how you have applied it for the real world problem? RL is nothing but called the reinforcement learning. Simple. We can use it for the automate the game, for the automation tasks. And how do you design and implement the large scale distributed model training, and what are some challenges you have faced? For the large scale distributed model, we can design it from the scratch or you can using it Python as well. What is the experience with ML ops? That's mean ML flow that you're already creating here the products in our series as well. And how do you ensure the seamless model deployment and the monitoring? Seamless model is nothing but one kind of model using seamless technique. We can join out the model on here. And how do you design and implement the ML infrastructure? And what are some of the key considerations, scalability and the reliability? This is nothing but the case of the metrics. Okay, just like accuracy, F1 score. So this is how you can prepare yourself for the interview questions. I'm not expert on that actually. And from 7, I can answer the 5 questions. Okay. Okay, I can also do the 7 questions as yours. So this is how you can prepare yourself for the interview questions and for the upcoming interview questions. I mean, for your job posting or the job results, that how can you use here the large language model to actually extract the data from here, as well as you can see that your portfolio is matching this job or not. You can check in the script. So that's it for today now, and hope you enjoyed this whole tutorial, and make sure you subscribe to our channels and share with your friend. And if you need more videos, just comment below your project name and I'll try to making the videos about that. So thank you and bye bye.